I love a theme. Moving from the Midwest to the big city, getting down. She's just given icon. Get me in there, it sounds like a laugh. Gay rights. I don't really know who that is. H-O-T-T-O-G-O. I personally think Chappell Roan would love it. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm Ray, What Ray Reads. Follow me on Instagram. Yeah, you want to, you do. If you're new here, as I said, I'm Ray. Welcome to the channel. On our channel we discuss mostly book related things, sometimes pop culture related things, and then other times, you know, I'll just bring you with me while I'm living my life. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, subscribe, because why not? So today the video is a Chappell Roan reading list. I don't know about you, but I'm obsessed with Chappell Roan, and as you know, I love a theme, so reading list, artist I'm loving, blend them together. What have you got?
Le who? The her.
A selection of books. So I thought, why not make a reading list that sort of falls into the queer literary fiction genres that fit with Chappell songs. So before we go any further, if you're one of the few people who don't know who Chappell Roan is, you're like, I don't really know who that is. I've been living under a rock, apparently. She's basically like the newest pop sensation on the scene, and she's had quite a meteoric ascent. And she's like gotten popularity very quickly, although she's been around for much longer, and she's mostly known for her 80s inspired, synth inspired, catchy pop bangers that deal with her coming of age, moving from the Midwest to the big city, being a city girl and exploring her sexuality and coming to terms with her sexuality as a queer woman. Gay rights.
And that's on the periodic table, sis.
Period.
And she does this while in iconic drag-inspired outfits and makeup, serving looks.
Tens across the board.
And it's just music to have a good time to feel yourself, to be out with the girls, getting down.
Hit it like rum pam pam, get it hot like Papa John.
But it's got heart, and she's singing about important subjects as well, and it's just fun. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, first off, go listen to her music. I'm obsessed with her album, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. She's just given icon. So here's a little selection of books that I think you should read if you're as obsessed with Chappell Roan as I am, and you want some more literary fiction in your life. And as I mentioned, I've tried to select stories that deal with or focus more on queer characters or queer stories, particularly with a female voice. You know, she loves that. So let's get to the video. First, I'm just gonna have a sip of my iced coffee. Also, do you like me flowers? Bought them for myself because I'm not waiting around for people to buy me flowers. I'll get them myself. Thank you very much.
Treat yourself.
So the first book is Big Swiss by Jen Beagin, and I've recommended this a few times in some of my reading lists, so as you can tell, she loves it. And this story follows a woman, Greta, who works transcribing therapy sessions at home in a bedroom, and she's essentially listening into these therapy sessions and hearing people's darkest, most emotionally revealing things. And she becomes enamoured with one of the subjects, one of the patients, who she names Big Swiss, and she imagines scenarios, what she might be like. She basically becomes obsessed with her and creates who she thinks she is in her mind. The only issue is she's never met this woman. She doesn't know this woman until one day at a dog park where she's walking a dog, she hears someone speaking and she recognises the voice. It's Big Swiss.
Wait a minute.
An unlikely friendship blossoms and a relationship develops between the two women, changing both women's lives for the foreseeable future and in ways that they didn't expect. This was a book that made me fall in love with Jen Beagin's writing. It's very fresh. I know we hate the word, but it's like a unique take on female characters, female flaws. We're here for it. Plus, she's got a really dry, deadpan wit, and it's quite dark, but it's really enjoyable and funny to read. So that's your first one. And I picked this book because obviously it deals with two female characters who develop an intimate relationship, gay right, and it reminds me a lot of, you know, the themes that Chappell sings about in particularly Good Luck Babe, Hot to Go and Naked in Manhattan. It's given those. So yeah, that's your first one. The next book is a book I recently finished and I absolutely loved it. It was a 5-star read for me, and it's definitely going to be in my top 10 reads of the year, and that is Mongrel by Hanoko Footman. And I'm pretty sure it's a debut novel, but it's such a fantastic book, and it follows 3 women. May, who grows up in Surrey, feels disconnected from her Japanese heritage. She basically tries to suppress it, and she's dealing with losing a mother as a child and having that absent place in her life. Then we follow Yuki, who moves from a rural Japanese town to fulfill and try and achieve her dreams of becoming a violinist, attending a prestigious music school. But she falls pregnant after meeting a man, altering her life and career forever. And we also follow Haruka, who works as a hostess in the underbelly of the Japanese nightlife, fleeing her home and feeling disconnected from a family life. She escapes to the big city to escape the loss of her mother also. It's a book about family, heritage, identity, culture that shifts between the 3 different narratives in such a seamless way that you really do feel like you're reading 3 separate characters. I know that's quite difficult for some authors to achieve, and characters can often feel like just the same one, but Hanoko Footman does it really well, and you really become connected to these characters and you really feel for them. I chose this one because it deals with certain characters who are coming to terms with their own sexuality, suppressing how they really feel, feeling isolated and lonely, escaping the small town for the big city to try and achieve your dreams or just have a new fresh start, and also trying to control and take ownership of your body as a woman. It reminded me a lot of Chappell's song California, where she sings about leaving home to try and make it as a musician and missing a hometown, a small hometown. But it also reminded me of Pink Pony Club because she sings about her sexuality and her awakening in that song. So that's your second book. The next book is a odd little book called Paradise Rot by Jenny Hval, and in it we follow Jo, a young new biology student who's left her country to study abroad somewhere in a small UK town, and she's also coming to terms with her sexuality. She's feeling homesick, sort of isolated, and she's having all these new experiences whilst also trying to discover who she is at this burdening coming of age. She finds a spare room that she rents out in a converted brewery with a unusual roommate who she starts developing strange feelings for, and the brewery lends itself to like the feeling of isolation and detachment from reality because there's no walls in the brewery. It's just like an open space and you can hear everything that's going on. Plus there's apparently like a fungus problem in the space, and our protagonist Jo also studies the biology of fungus, so she starts sort of interweaving her studies and views of things into a reality, and the two merge together in like a weird way. So her sexual awakening, a discovering of her sexuality, and her studies and isolation all merge together, creating a weird reality that she's inhabiting, and it's just like nothing I've ever read before. It's really quite trippy and odd, and this one sort of, there's certain themes in it that remind me of what Chappell sings about in Red Wine Supernova and again Naked in Manhattan. So there's another one. Next we've got a short story collection called Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado, and as I mentioned, this is a collection of short stories that follows various different different characters who are dealing with being a woman in the world, the horrors that are inflicted and we have to face as women going through the world in our bodies. It blends body horror, comedy, fantasy, psychological realism and contemporary stories into the worlds of the various characters, and a lot of the stories do focus on queer characters, female queer characters that explore certain things that are impacting their lives. It's unusual and at times a bit difficult to follow because obviously you're not always in reality, but they're definitely one of a kind stories and it'll make you want to read more of Carmen Machado's work. I highly recommend In the Dream House, by the way. But a few of the stories that stuck out to me that I loved was the Law and Order SVU one. You just need to read it. And The Husband's Stitch, which will make you want to scream.
Trauma.
Okay, on to the next one. The next book is The Queens of Sarmentio Park by Camila, Sosa, Vilada, and this is one that's been on my TBR that I actually haven't read yet, but it's really high on my TBR and I will get to it.
Sure, Jan.
And it follows the lives of queer characters who are living in a queer boarding house that is described as being the queerest boarding house in the world. Get me in there, it sounds like a laugh. It's a safe space and a sense of security for these characters that are going through the harsh realities of life and may not have felt security in their own identity before. And they become each other's found family and develop a chosen family unit. At night they get dolled up and they go out to Sarmentio Park where they work as sex workers to make ends meet, until one cold night when they hear the sound of a baby crying in the bushes and they go investigate and discover that it's a baby boy that's been abandoned, and there's no questions asked. They just rescue him and take him back to the home and they all pull together to look after him. It's said to be a story with brutal, unflinching reality and the harsh worlds that a lot of queer people, especially sex workers who happen to be queer, have to face. It's about found family and just trying to get by as a queer person who's pushed to the outskirts of society. So yeah, I can't wait to read this one, and I personally think Chappell Roan would love it. So Chappell, if you're watching the video, read the book. And the final book on our little queer Chappell Roan reading list is another book that's on my TBR. I know, I'll get to it when I get to it, okay? She's got about 100 books on there. And that is Rosewater by Liv Little. I actually picked up my copy when I went to Leeds and I went to this queer bookstore called The Bookish Type. So if you want to check out that vlog of me exploring Leeds with my friend, go watch it. And this book follows Elsie, who lives in South London and dreams of becoming a poet. She's estranged from a family and she's trying to make it day by day, but she's struggling with a mental health, struggling with her living situation, living in social housing and not feeling a sense of security, having no one to turn to. She's alone in the big city, and at night she works minimum wage at a local gay bar where she has friends and somewhat of a situationships with her co-worker B. This is said to be a story about a woman trying to make it in the big city, trying to achieve your dreams, but the harsh reality of the city and life just taking you down, and how that impacts us, our mental health and our relationships. And I can't wait to finally read it. It's given Pink Pony Club, it's given California, grasping at those dreams, also having the realities of life just knock you down, but you just need to have a good time with your friends. So yeah, there's a little reading list. It's a bit shorter than the ones I'd usually give you, but you know, there's enough books there. And I think you should check these out if you're a fan of Chappell's music, the songs, the lyrics, what she sings about, the queer awakening, coming of age, achieving your dreams. And as I said, I feel like Chappell would like all of these books, so she should read them as well. I hope you spot something that you like in the reading list, and let me know your thoughts below if you've got any queer Chappell Roan adjacent inspired stories below. I'm always looking for new books. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me out and I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!